Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today it's Friday, so it is going to be my championship score predictions. Championship football is back from a 2-week absence. We started off tonight with Derby going up against Watford. I'm really intrigued to see what happens in this game. I'm just happy football is back. We can now start predicting it. Of course, later on, I'll predict the Premier League games. If you don't know what this series is, I'll quickly explain how it works. I predict the Championship games. FIFA also predicts the Championship games, but you're not going to see the footage today. And I also predict the Premier League fixtures. All the fixtures predicted for this weekend is going to be in the description down below, so you can pause the video and predict all of these games. And if you get a correct score, your comment will be included in my Championship review video, and you'll get a place in the Lexus Hall of Fame. This is what the Lexus Hall of Fame currently looks like going to match day 5. Got a 2-point lead from everyone, but I've got to watch my back. I didn't have a good weekend, got 0 right from the Premier League and the Championship. Got to make sure I have a really good weekend this time. Before we start, just a little quick plug, in fact 2 quick plugs. If you haven't followed me on my Discord server yet, please do join it, because we talk a lot on that server about current football affairs, Nations League and all of that. If you want to be part of a really tight group in the YouTube scene, the link is in the description down below. If you haven't downloaded Discord, then do that and then join the link via that. And if you saw me yesterday, you would have known that I was streaming on Twitch yesterday. I did a bit of Fall Guys, and in the future I'll be doing a bit of COD, potentially some Ultimate Team as well, which I knew some of you have been wanting to see as well. So if you guys want to see that, make sure you follow me on Twitch. My Twitch is on the screen right now. It's LexAlexis20, so if you've got Twitch, get on following. But if you guys like what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. And for a serious note, what's going on with the channel lately? We looked like we were going to push for 292. We were on 292 for quite a bit, looking like we were 8 subscribers away, but now we've dropped back to 289. What's going on with my channel at the moment? Why is it on a downward spiral? You do realise if I don't get 1,000 subscribers by at least the next 2 seasons, you won't see this ever again. You know, I'm not going to be around here forever, you know. So if you guys really want to see me for the long term especially, please make sure you do subscribe to the channel. It'll get my motivation up. You'll see more videos, and that is how you'll see more of me. So if you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. I've checked recently that over 70% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed. What are you doing, you 70%? Get subscribing if you haven't done. And to do that, please share the channel as well. Please share my channel everywhere you can. Instagram, social media, tweets, whatever. It would really make my day. But without any further ado, let's go and predict these championship games. So to start off with tonight's game, I briefly mentioned it, Derby versus Watford. I'm intrigued to see the outcome. Will Hughes is actually playing against his former club as well, which I think will be very exciting. I think will be a surreal moment for him. But having said that, I just checked his injury record and he is doubtful that he'll start in this game. So maybe not, maybe he'll come off the bench possibly. Derby had a fantastic win against Norwich. Wayne Rooney playing in a much more advanced position, and actually with his work rate and how much he does influence his team, he's a very important player to the side. As with Watford, they do play with a 5 at the back formation. Yes, it may be defensively tight, although they did lose their first game against Reading last time, but they had so many chances. They should have put the game to bed, if I'm going to be honest. Watford have lost a couple of players recently, Craig Dawson recently to West Ham, and they could potentially lose more before the transfer window ends today on Friday. There's 2 Welsh players you've got to keep your eye on in terms of the transfer window today, but we've already seen a couple of transfers go through. We could see a lot more go through before this video comes out actually. But in terms of predicting this game, I think it'll be very, very tight. And I'm going to say that this is going to be a 1-1 draw. I think there won't be a lot to separate in this game. If you saw my FIFA 21 stream, you would know that Watford won by 2-0. If you want to see the full footage of FIFA 21 simulating every championship game, check out the video on the eye icon up there. You don't have to see the full 2 hours. But now we move on to Saturday's games. We start off with Bournemouth going up against Queen's Park Rangers. I'm very excited about this game. FIFA 21's result was very, very disappointing, and if you saw the live stream, it was one of the most boring halves that I simulated. But what I think will happen in real life, I think both teams will go for it. They're both very highly attacking teams, with Bournemouth scoring 8 goals in all competitions and Queen's Park Rangers scoring 6 goals in all competitions right now. I think both of these sides are going to be desperate to try and revive their season a little bit. Bournemouth right now have kind of recovered. They've now got 10 points out of 12 after dropping points against Middlesbrough, where I don't think they should have. They had a terrific response against the Coventry side that looked to be in really good form. Queen's Park Rangers have had an okay start. They've only had 1 defeat so far, which was against Coventry, but they've had 1 win and 2 draws since then. In terms of the squads they'll go with, I think Bournemouth will keep most of their squad that what they have been playing on most recently. I'm expected to see more of Danjuma. For me, he's been one of the best players in the Championship so far. His goals and his contribution to the game is absolutely unbelievable. With Queen's Park Rangers right now, I think Lyndon Dykes will start. He was fantastic for Scotland in the international break. So was Marshall, actually, Derby's goalkeeper. I forgot to mention him. But Lyndon Dykes was absolutely terrific. If he can continue that form to Queen's Park Rangers might actually have a chance. In terms of this game, I'm edging one side, and for me, that's Bournemouth. I just think they are the more confident side. 10 points so far. I think it will take a fantastic performance to knock Bournemouth off their perch. I'm going to say a 2-1 victory to Bournemouth. FIFA 21 predicted that Bournemouth will win by 1-0. So the next game to predict is Barnsley going up against Bristol City. Now, Bristol City are on absolute fire at the moment, getting 4 wins out of 4. And if this is going to increase Bristol City's confidence even more, in their last 6 meetings, Bristol City have never lost to Barnsley with 3 wins and 3 draws in the process. But Barnsley aren't any pushovers. They're still currently without a manager, and I'd hoped in the international break they will sort out the managerial saga by now, but they haven't, which is disappointing me at the moment. In terms of the sides overall, it's just completely night and day in terms of performances at the moment. Barnsley have only scored 1 goal so far, which was a penalty from Collie Woodrow. Bristol City so far, I'd say 3 out of their 4 performances they were great. In fact, their most recent performance I was not too convinced with. It was against Nottingham Forest, where I do think they were a little bit lucky. But it's not about luck, it's all about results in the end of the day. And Bristol City's still got the maximum 3 points, which is a good sign. Barnsley away is not an easy trip to go to, despite how slow Barnsley have started the season. I'm going to edge Bristol City, but it'll be pretty close. I'm going to say a 2-1 away victory to Bristol City. If you saw FIFA 21 streams, you'll know that FIFA 21 edged Bristol City to win by 3-2. It was such a dramatic game, one of the best games that I've seen FIFA 21 simulate. But enough of me plugging my streams. We've got Birmingham versus Sheffield Wednesday predict. And right now, I'm not too sure who I'm going to go with. Sheffield Wednesday would not like the fact they've not beaten Birmingham in their last 6 games, only picking up 3 points in their last 6 meetings against each other, with Birmingham getting 3 wins against them. And right now, I think Sheffield Wednesday needs the points more than anyone to try and overturn 7 more points in their points deduction. They picked up 5 points, which, to be fair, I felt was a little bit more than I thought they were going to pick up in their first 4 games. But there were some games where I do think they should have been better. I think back to their last game against Queen's Park Rangers, where they were 1-0 up right up to the 95th minute before they conceded to a Macaulay Bond header, the final touch of the game. But Birmingham right now, they're looking like a very resilient team. They're one of the few unbeaten teams in the Championship with 1 win and 3 draws. Now, my pity with Birmingham so far is the king of draws. They need to turn these draws into wins if they want to have a push for that top 6 place. And for me, for the fact that Aitor Karanka is really keeping things tight at the back, I don't think we'll see many goals in this game. But I think Sheffield Wednesday would definitely have to be really going for it, if they want to try and overturn their points deduction. So I think it'll be feisty. I'm going to say a draw, following that Aitor Karanka seems to be an expert at them at the moment with Birmingham. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw this time. And if you saw FIFA 21 stream, you would have known that FIFA 21 predicted Birmingham to win by 2-0. The next game to predict is Blackburn versus Nottingham Forest. Chris Hughton's first game as Nottingham Forest manager. I bet he'll be very excited to be back in the Championship, but he's not given a very easy task going up against the top goal scorers in the Championship so far, scoring 11 goals in all competitions. And one of their players winning player of the month, Bradley Johnson, won player of the month, which I think was very well deserved with his contribution and his goals that he scored for Blackburn as well. Nottingham Forest have only scored 1 goal so far, which was a stunner from Luke Freeman, by the way. I think out of everyone, he's been the 1-star player so far. But Lewis Grabban still not scoring a goal in 4 appearances. You can't help but feel he needs someone up there with him. And I'm going to be interested to see what Chris Hughton is going to do, and tinkering the formation, tinkering the squad, tinkering the starting 11. It's going to feel like a completely new team for me. I think there'll be many goals. I do think Blackburn will fly out the traps and score many goals, but I do think Nottingham Forest will compete with them all the way. I'm going to say this is going to be the firework game that I like to call it. I'm going to say a 3-2 victory to Blackburn. I think this will be a really close game. And following my luck, this will be a 0-0 draw, but I hope not. Let's hope and pray. FIFA 21 predicted that Forest were going to get the first win of the season with a 1-0 away victory. Can easily happen. The next game to predict is Brentford going up against Coventry. Both of these teams on 4 points so far. I think for Brentford, this will be the first game that they have without Said Benrahma in their ranks anymore. I do believe he will be a West Ham player, before or after this video is released. I mean, they've got till 5 p.m. tonight to seal the deal. Rico Henry has got an injury as well, so Brentford would definitely not be full strength, so Coventry could take a chance on that. But having said that, Jody Jones, Junior and DaCosta are still out, and of course Gustavo Hamer, which is definitely one of their better midfielder players, will start receiving his ban following his red card against their last game against Bournemouth. In terms of their head-to-head, this would actually be their first head-to-head meeting in the Championship, to believe it or not. Their last head-to-head meetings were when they were competing together in League One, and Brentford have a very superior record, and I think their strong record will continue. I'm going to say a 2-1 victory to Brentford. I do think it'll be tight, but I do think Brentford will have too much for them. And if you saw FIFA 21 simulation, you would know that FIFA 21 predicted that this game will end 1-1. Next game to predict is Luton Town going up against Stoke City. Nathan Jones going up against his former club. I think this will be a very feisty game, and I think a very key game for him. I think he'll definitely want to prove a point with this game so far, and they're definitely proving a point in terms of their league position. Luton are firmly in the top 6 in 5th place right now with 3 wins and 1 defeat. That 1 defeat going up against recently relegated Watford, which is no disgrace for them. Stoke so far have looked okay. They've had 1 win, 2 draws and 1 defeat. Their 1 win coming up against Preston, although they were heavily helped that they were down to 10 men. I do think Stoke do need to increase their performances. I definitely feel like they're good enough to definitely get draws consistently. You know, they're a difficult side to beat now, but they definitely need to try and find a way that they can win consistently. So I think this will be a 1-1 draw. I think that's how I'm going to see it. I think Stoke will get a lead, and then Luton will find a way to get back into this. If you saw FIFA 21's live stream, you would know that FIFA 21 predicted Luton to win by 2-1. Should be a very good game. So Reading have had their best start in the Championship for a long time, and now they go to Middlesbrough, but Reading hate playing against Middlesbrough. In their last 6 meetings, there's only been one outcome: Middlesbrough win. So Reading need to somehow break that curse if they want to keep their 100% start going. Reading so far, of course, have been unbelievable. Panovic has just seemed to revolutionise their defence. They play a lot more creativity going forward. Lucas Giles just turned into a new beast now. I don't know how Panovic has inserted some confidence in him, but he looks really, really good. Michael Olise, Giacometti, Ejaria, of course. They all look great. Rina Motta commanding things in the midfield. This definitely deserves some mentions. Omar Richards and Cabral in goal. The whole Reading squad have been really, really good. Middlesbrough, I feel like now they'll have the return of Neil Warnock, following that he has now had 2 weeks to recover from his symptoms of COVID-19. And Middlesbrough have been okay so far. They've managed to pick up 5 points, 1 win, 2 draws and 1 defeat in the process. They're top 10 at the moment, and I do think with Neil Warnock, he'll definitely encourage his side to keep that going. They have been difficult to concede goals against this season. You know, they've looked a lot tighter at the back. So I think this will definitely be a very, very close game. I don't think many goals will be in this game. I'm actually going to continue the trend. Maybe shockingly, I'm going to say Middlesbrough to win by 1-0. I think it'll be very tight. It could even be just from a penalty call or a set piece. It can literally make the difference. You know, tiny margins are the big difference in the Championship. And if you saw my live stream, you would know that FIFA 21 agrees with me, and they also think that Middlesbrough will win by 1-0 as well. Should be a very, very close game anyway. The next game to predict is Rotherham going up against Norwich. Rotherham, I do have to say, I feel like have started pretty well actually, only losing once in their first opening games. Norwich so far, I'd have to say, I'm not as convinced with them. They've lost back-to-back games against Bournemouth and Derby County. They need to recover that loss of form as soon as they can, really. And then 1 win did come against Huddersfield, where they did look a little bit light going forward as well. In attacking sense, Norwich have not been great so far, only scoring 1 goal in the Championship, which was that victory against Huddersfield. Both of these sides do like to play out attacking formations, both with 4 at the back as well. I think we'll definitely see some similar playing styles. I'm not seeing many goals in this game. I could be crazy by saying that because Rotherham do really like to attack. But I'm going to say that this is going to be by 1 goal. And I'm just thinking which team is going to get the 1 goal in it. I do think Norwich so far, even though they've not performed well, I do think they still have the ability to grind out a result. And I think this will be one of those examples. I'm going to say a 1-0 away victory to Norwich. But I'm a bit reluctant on that, following that they've had a pretty poor start to the season. And if you saw FIFA 21 stream, it was one of the better games we saw with Norwich winning by 3-2, being 2-1 down against Rotherham in the first half. It was an unbelievable game. Now we have Swansea going up against Huddersfield. Both these sides with pretty contrasting starts in the Championship, with Swansea starting very well, 10 points out of 12, likewise with Bournemouth, 3 wins and 1 draw so far. They only dropped points going up against Birmingham, where I do think they were the better side as well, and were a bit unlucky not to pick up all 3 points, with nil average being fantastic in Birmingham's goal. Huddersfield so far, their first 2 games they looked dead and buried with 2 defeats in a row, but in their last 2 games they've won 1 and they've drawn 1, and I do think Huddersfield definitely look a much better side now, although the recent news comes in that Huddersfield have sold Carlin Grant to West Brom. It looks like to be a fee of 14.85 million. I think Swansea will be very firm favourites for this game. I'm definitely liking what they've got up front with Jamal Lowe, Andre Ayew, Morgan Gibbs-White, who's another one of potentially the top 3 players I've seen in the Championship so far. But I did say keep your eye on 2 Welsh players, and Joe Rodon is one of them. I do think Spurs are going to really go for trying to get to Joe Rodon. If they do get Joe Rodon over the line before they play against Huddersfield, it can be a blow for Swansea, but they do have a load of options in that position and they can take his place as well. The other Welshman, actually, before I forget, is Harry Wilson, but that is because an abundance of Championship clubs are linked with the Liverpool star. But moving on to this game, Swansea got a much stronger record. I think with the better start, even though that Huddersfield now look a little bit promising, I'm still going to edge Swansea. I'm going to say 2-0 Swansea, whereas FIFA 21 has predicted 2-1 Swansea. Very similar predictions, FIFA and I. The next game is Wycombe going up against Millwall, the last of Saturday's games, and surely Wycombe need to score a goal and get a point anytime soon, because I feel like the longer this goes on, the more tumultuous their season is just going to be. Millwall won't be an easy task, but it's at home, and I feel like they've looked better when they play at home, and they definitely need just one inspiring home performance to kickstart their season. Millwall so far have looked okay, but they've not looked too convincing. Now, they've got 5 points at the moment with only 1 win in their opening 4 games so far, so maybe Millwall may not be the worst side for Wycombe to go up against. And actually, when you compare their head-to-head records in League One, Wycombe have a very strong record against Millwall. It's looking like the only injury that Wycombe have at the moment is Adebayo Akinfenwa, where he'll be good for off the field, but on the field I don't think they'll have too many issues there. Millwall so far looks like their injury is still on Troy Power, which is frustrating for them. He seems to have a long-term injury, but as soon as he gets back to fitness, I think he could definitely tear the Championship apart. In terms of what I'll predict in this game, I think it'll be really, really tight. I'm just not too sure about Wycombe's attacking options, that whether they're good enough, really. And they've got a really tough defence, Millwall, and they won't let many goals in. But their last outing against Swansea, they were very, very poor. So I'm going to say Wycombe will get their first goal and their first point. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I'm going to say Wycombe need to actually play out their skin in this game. And I think the following that they've got an international break, I think they could definitely be more recharged. They'll get their fitness up a little bit. And I think they could definitely gun-ho for this one. I think Millwall will be taken a little bit by surprise. And if you saw FIFA 21 streams, you'll know that FIFA 21 predicted Millwall to get a 2-1 away victory. That would have been my alternative result. But I'm going to back Wycombe. I feel like eventually that they've got to get something. So I will say 1-1. And the final game to predict is Sunday's game, Preston going up against Cardiff. Preston would have hated this game last year, as I felt this was the game that ultimately denied them chances of qualifying in the top 6 last year. Cardiff so far have been a side I've not been convinced with. In fact, Preston have been the same, although recently I do have to say I think Preston have looked a little bit better, especially away from home, if I'm going to be honest. At home, I'm not too convinced with Preston at the moment. If they could just improve their home form, Preston could be one of the top teams in the Championship, I mean it. With Cardiff so far, they're exactly the same. Look better away from home than they do at home at the moment. So, for you, this may be the case. Maybe Cardiff is the result that you need to go with. This game's really stumping me because in terms of form and in terms of characteristics, nothing separates the sides. And they're both on 4 points, are both separated by 2 places just from goal difference. I was thinking that maybe Cardiff will win by 2-1, but I'm going to say that there'll be 1 less goal. And there will be a 1-1 draw. Both of these sides have not been convinced at home, and because Cardiff are away and they looked better away from home, I'm actually thinking of edging them. But I'm going to say Preston cope with this. I'm going to say 1-1, and FIFA 21 has actually predicted Preston to win by 2-1, which I think is quite intriguing. But that is all the Championship results. As I said, all of this weekend's games will be in the description down below if you want to predict them and get a chance to be in the Lexus Hall of Fame. Make sure you comment your predictions in the comments down below. Now, before we end the video, as tradition, I also predict the Premier League fixtures. Let's go. We start off with a Merseyside derby, Everton, Liverpool. Now, I think out of all of the years of the Merseyside derby, I don't think it has ever been as close as this. Definitely one of the first few ones with Everton being ahead of Liverpool in the table. I'm going to say Liverpool edge it by 2-1, but I'm no way not backing Everton getting a win. I've got most of their players in my fantasy team still because I do still think they'll have a positive performance. Chelsea, Southampton. This is the sort of game I think Chelsea would slip up with. I'm going to say 1-1 draw, but I hope I'm wrong. Man City, Arsenal. I think this will be a 3-1 routine Manchester City win. Newcastle, Man United. I think this will be tougher than we think. I'm going to say 2-1 United, but I'm definitely not ruling out Newcastle. Sheffield United, Fulham. I'm going to say Sheffield United get their first points of the ball. I'm going to say 2-0 Sheffield United. Palace, Brighton, the M23 derby. Interesting. I'm going to say 2-1 Brighton. That they've been the better performance for me so far. Spurs and West Ham, a London derby. Blimey, we've got a load of derbies this weekend. I'm going to say 3-2 to Spurs. I think it'll be close. West Ham tend to perform well against Spurs at the moment, but I think Spurs will be too tough of a test. Leicester, Villa. Very close, actually. I'm actually really struggling with this. I'm going to say 2-1 Leicester, but it's really tight. West Brom and Burnley. Burnley have not started well at all, and unfortunately, I'm going to say that this continues. I think West Brom will get the first win. I'm going to say 1-0 victory to West Brom. Leeds and Wolves. Blimey, two really high attacking sides. I'm going to say 2-1 Leeds. I think they could definitely get something out of this game. But that wraps it up with all my predictions. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you do predict this weekend's games in the comments down below. If you guys like what you see, want to see more content, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It would really make my day. If you guys want to know like timings of my Twitch, you can always follow me on Discord. That is where I always post my announcements in terms of my video schedule, my Twitch schedule, everything I do, everything in a matter of notice is on that Discord channel. So if you want to follow, make sure you click on the first link you see in the description down below. But that was it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you're studying into this video. And as always, take care, guys.